The world woke up today on edge. In the early hours, Iran did something that immediately set off alarm bells across Washington, Brussels, and global military command centers. Tehran abruptly shut down its airspace. Commercial flights were grounded, aviation warnings were issued, and within minutes, one question dominated every intelligence briefing. Is a confrontation between Iran and the United States about to explode? Closing national airspace is not a routine decision. It is a wartime move. Countries do this only when they fear incoming strikes, missile activity, or sudden military escalation. For several tense hours, Iran's skies went silent, and the silence was loud enough to shake global markets and military planners alike. Airlines rerouted hundreds of flights. Pilots were warned of potential missile or air defense activity. Defense analysts immediately began comparing this moment to previous flashpoints, moments when a single miscalculation pushed the Middle East to the brink of open war. And the timing was no coincidence. This came as Iran is facing one of the most serious internal crises in years. Nationwide protests have erupted across major cities. These demonstrations are not just about economic hardship, they represent open defiance against the state. Clashes between protesters and security forces have turned deadly. Arrests have surged. Executions have been rumored. And the government in Tehran is under intense pressure, both at home and abroad. The United States has taken notice, and it has not been quiet. Washington has publicly warned Iran against escalating violence against its own people. Senior American officials have made it clear that mass executions or extreme repression will not be ignored. These were not empty statements. Behind the scenes, U.S. military assets in the region have shifted posture. Some personnel have been repositioned. Naval movements have been observed. Diplomatic missions have reduced staff. In military language, this is called preparing the battle space. Iran, for its part, has responded with defiance. Tehran has warned that any direct U.S. action will be met with retaliation not only against American forces, but against any country that supports such a move. That warning was aimed squarely at U.S. allies across the Gulf. Saudi Arabia and other regional states quickly moved to distance themselves, publicly stating they would not allow their airspace to be used for any attack on Iran. The message was clear. No one wants to be dragged into another Middle Eastern war. As tensions climbed, the Strait of Hormuz once again became the elephant in the room. Nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through that narrow stretch of water. Any disruption there would send shockwaves through the global economy. Oil traders watched closely. Governments prepared contingency plans. Then, just as suddenly as it began, Iran reopened its airspace. Flights were allowed back in. Restrictions were lifted. On the surface, it looked like de-escalation. Markets reacted with cautious relief. Some observers breathed easier, but seasoned analysts were not convinced. Because reopening the skies does not mean the danger has passed. It simply means the moment has shifted. Many experts believe Iran's airspace closure was a defensive maneuver, a temporary shield in case of sudden military action. By clearing the skies, Tehran removed the risk of civilian casualties if something went wrong. Once the immediate threat appeared to cool, reopening the airspace helped calm markets and reduce international pressure. Others see it differently. They argue this was a strategic signal, a warning shot without firing a weapon. Iran demonstrated that it is alert, prepared, and willing to escalate if pushed. At the same time, reopening the airspace allowed Tehran to appear restrained, rational, and in control. This is how modern geopolitics works. Escalation and restraint are played simultaneously. Meanwhile, another battlefield has quietly emerged, the information war. Internet blackouts and communication restrictions inside Iran have made independent verification difficult. In response, satellite internet usage has surged. Control of the narrative has become as important as control of territory. And beneath all of this lies the most dangerous variable of all: miscalculation. History shows that wars often do not start with grand declarations. They begin with misunderstandings. A radar signal misread, a missile test misinterpreted, A single strike answered too forcefully. Right now, the United States and Iran are locked in a high-stakes standoff. Publicly, both sides project strength. Privately, diplomats are working overtime to prevent the unthinkable. The margin for error is thin, and Iran's internal unrest is far from over. Domestic pressure has a way of reshaping foreign policy. Governments under stress sometimes look outward to consolidate power at home. That reality makes this situation even more volatile. What begins as internal unrest can rapidly spill into regional confrontation. For now, the world exists in an uneasy calm. Iran's skies are open. The missiles are silent. But the tension has not disappeared. It is merely suspended. Every movement is being tracked. Every statement analyzed. Every hour without escalation is seen as a fragile victory for diplomacy. Because if this situation collapses, it will not stay contained. It will ripple across the Middle East, disrupt global energy markets, and redraw geopolitical lines. This is not just a regional story. This is a global one.